guys, here's our week 19 class overview. For timeline, we started with Lincoln's War between the states and we sang it through. I had 3 bombs on the back. Because I have a master's class, they know timeline, they know it really well. So I gave them the opportunity to only have to sing it 4 times. Although we still ended up singing it 6 times. So I said if they find all the bombs, we'll stop as soon as they find the 3rd bomb. So we sing it once, and they had 3 chances. In between each turning over, they had to sing it. So we found 2 bombs at the very beginning, so they thought they were going to find it, and then it took them 3 more tries before they found that 3rd bomb, and we moved on to math. For math, we have the area of a circle, and we reviewed because we're doing a song, it includes rectangle, square, and triangle. So we started with the area of a rectangle equals length times width. The area of a square equals length of its side, squared side square. An area of a triangle equals 1/2 base times height. And then today we did an area of a circle equals pi times a radius squared. And so real quick, because I have a master's class, we kind of went into some of this and said, okay, what is the symbol? Pi. What is pi? What is the number that it represents? 3.14. And what is a radius? Said half the diameter. What is the diameter? It's across the whole circle. And so I would sometimes give them, so we would repeat it, we were saying it again, I would give them a diameter or a radius, and they would have to square it in their heads because they know they're squares. And then I would multiply it by 3.14 on my calculator. So we would find the area of the circle. So we found a bunch of different areas as they calculated. Sometimes if I gave them the diameter, they would have to divide in half and then square it. So a little bit of mental math while we repeated this in between. For Latin, we had John 1:5. We sang it in Latin, we sang it in English, and then they would come up one at a time and draw a line or a very, very confused squiggly line to get to its translation. So we would sing Et tenebrae eam non comprehenderant, and the darkness did not comprehend it, and somebody would come up and make a translation. When we got to the end, we reminded them we all said together that Latin has no translation for articles a and the, as well as we didn't have our challenge mom in here to talk to us about like it. So that was Latin. For English, I don't have my cards with me. We went over a clause. We just repeated a clause as a group of words that contains both a subject and a verb. The past 2 weeks we've learned a subject, we've learned a predicate, so I had subjects and predicates the last 2 weeks for them to mix match, and they made funny sentences like my dad has a poopy diaper, the baby made me breakfast, stuff like that. So now I added a clause, I added a who clause. And so we went over, so for example it said the baby who has fleas made me breakfast. So who has fleas is who has fleas is the clause, who is the subject, has is the verb. And we had other sentences, I can't remember all of them. The student who wears gloves ate my homework. The dog who has big muscles has a big beard. So really random. Originally, they kind of all made sense. The cat who has fleas licked her paw, but it ended up being the mom who has fleas licked her paw, stuff like that. For science, what is the difference between an acid and a base? We said this, an acid donates a hydrogen ion, so whoever had the acid got to take the hydrogen ion with them, and a base accepts a hydrogen ion. And then we would say it again as they put it up, and the acid would have to give the base, they would have to give the hydrogen ion to the base. And so when we said it again, now this person is putting up an acid, donates a hydrogen ion, and a base accepts a hydrogen ion. The base person would put up the hydrogen ion. For history, I asked if anybody knew who this was, and I had a student say it was Stalin of the USSR, and the Katyn Massacre from our timeline. We're bringing that into, with a magnifying glass, looking into our history sentence today. In 1949, the United States and its allies formed NATO to resist the spread of Soviet communism. And so we listened to the app, we sang it a few times, we sang it a few times on our own without the app. And if anybody could say it without looking, if they turned their back to it and was able to say it, they were able to deface Stalin. For geography, we had our trails, and I had a song with this last time I did this cycle with my 5-year-olds, but when I asked the kids if they like songs, when I asked my class, my master's class, if they like songs for geography, they only wanted it. It was my daughter who wanted this song. So I did not do a song today, but if you guys like songs, it combines this week's and next week. I've been working on a railroad. Cumberland Road, Santa Fe Trail, Mormon Trail, Gila Trail, Old Spanish Trail, California Trail, Oregon Trail. And I think next week we have the canals. It'll go into Erie Canal, Pennsylvania Canal, Erie in Ohio, something like that. I don't know. I have that's a next week thing. Anyways, so for our trails, we just found them. I used this kind of as a review time for them because they know, all right, you guys find Chesapeake Bay because we've already been over Chesapeake Bay. The Cumberland Road starts at the Chesapeake Bay and ends in Illinois. You guys know where Illinois is. What's the capital of Illinois? Santa Fe Trail. Santa Fe Trail, it starts at the Mississippi and the Missouri. Find the Mississippi and the Missouri River because we already know that. So I'm giving them landmarks that they've already covered. Like, okay, find that, and then it ends up in Santa Fe. What state is Santa Fe? What is the capital of Santa Fe? What state is the capital of Santa Fe? You know what I'm trying to say. It ends there, and it has a little loop. For the Mormon Trail, everybody find the Great Salt Lake. We've been over this. Everybody find the Great Salt Lake. So start there and work backwards because it ends up in, the other one was colored because I did have to refer to this map in class because a lot of the trails kind of intersect. That Mormon and California and Oregon Trail intersect. But the Mormon Trail, the Mormon Trail is the one that crosses the Mississippi. So we started in Great Salt Lake and moved east instead of moving west because I informed them like these are all trails that where people were moving west. They're all expanding west. This one crosses the Mississippi. Gila Trail, I said, makes a U, kind of like a side U in New Mexico. Old Spanish Trail, it kind of connects the top of it and it ends up in Southern California. We have 3 trails that go all the way to the furthest west of the United States, and Old Spanish Trail, California Trail, and Oregon Trail, those 3. So, and I kind of talked to them about the history. Like, this used to be all Spain's territory. This used to be, Mexico's territory. So that's why it's called that Old Spanish Trail. California Trail, we found the one in Northern California, and we just followed it all the way back to the Mississippi, wherever that ends. And then Oregon Trail, like, okay, well, find Oregon. Where's Oregon? Oregon Trail, ends in Oregon, so let's go there, and we pull backwards from there as well. So some good review with geography, talking about different states. What's the capital of Oregon? What's the capital of California? Just getting a little bit of review in as we talked about the trails today. That was it. We did orchestra together. Miss Rachel led orchestra. She put us together to give us all instruments. We sang the instrument song. And for science, we talked about probability. Just flipping a coin, that went very quickly. So I talked more about like, okay, well, a coin just has 2 sides. So, we talked about probability of flipping a coin versus the little spinner I have for our subjects, for CC subjects that we use for review. that has 7 sides because we have 7 subjects. So what's the probability that I'll turn to timeline? What's the probability that I'll turn to timeline or math? What's the probability that I turn to timeline and math? And kind of going, pulling that into what we had already learned. Just some talking. We did a lot of discussion because the flipping of the coin 12 times took 2 minutes. Anyways, that's it for this week. I will not be here next week, but Miss Felicia will sub for me. I'll still try to get a video out to kind of go over what we'll be doing and post that if I get to it. So hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next week I won't see you next week. I'll see you the following week. I'll see you then. Bye.